You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim. Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Yucky!
What's going on, Kyle?
Ooh, was that a mixture of Fergie and Jesus?
It's OTMmy night.
It is OTMmy night. How are your ears doing after the intro?
The headphone dial on the mixer was a little higher than I'm used to.
I'm not going to take the blame on that one. I'm not the equipment guy. I do set it up.
I'm in, it's my fault.
Okay.
But I only have one good ear.
Well, a good thing you only need one.
I am currently flashbanged like in Call of Duty right now, waiting for my senses to come back.
You got the new Call of Duty on the new systems, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
You are? What's that KD?
1.45.
That ain't bad.
So
That'll move the chains. I know one of the special guests we got here is a big video game guy. Tuck, you want to introduce the man to your right?
The man to my right, Ian Garavalia.
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, let's hear it, guys. Come on.
Former AEW champion.
Yes.
Current tree. He is a sycamore from Indiana State. Ian, how are you, my man?
I'm doing all right. I really appreciate that. It was such a warm welcome. You know,
That's
really
how we do it
listen to
here.
all my
at OTM.
accolades. It was impressive. You know,
We got to build that resume up a little bit for you.
Yeah,
but
just a little bit.
You're
But
new
that's cool.
to the picks and everything like that.
Yeah.
How's school going, man? Second year in college, second or third semester under your belt.
It's going hard to watch wrestling though without primetime television and having to watch literally through all the apps you could find. But
Bro, I told you you could have my Hulu.
I know, I understand that,
So-
but I don't want to leech Hulu off you, man.
Don't
Why? I
worry,
don't
he
wanna be
gave
that
it to
guy.
me too. I don't really even use it anymore, so it's yours for the taking.
Okay, so I'll just be like Kyle leeching off you. So I'll be the Kyle to leech off.
There you go.
There we go. Perfect.
And then he'll have more accolades if he's me because I am the OTM pay-per-view champion.
Yeah,
I
it took
am
you long
one
enough.
half
Congrats
of the...
on the full belt.
Here he goes. So now that the belt that is behind you is actually in my possession, so that's really cool. But we're also joined by one more person here today, Tuck. The man to my left, he is the host of the Region Degenerates podcast. He is the co-host for OTSN Happy Hour. He is the host for Mikey's Morning Coffee. He is Mikey Wilson.
Who's that, Mikey Wilson?
That's what they call accolades, baby.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't list any of your titles because I don't think you've ever won.
No,
half
he
title.
has.
Some,
He had.
at one point, I was a half title holder. Or
Yeah,
That's
he's
all
had
right.
Maybe
a
like a
share of the
third.
title at some point.
That's good. Hey, Mikey, how we doing today? What you been up to?
Good, baby. I had to drive out to Bristol, Indiana, which is mile marker 103, 107, something like that. It's past Elkhart today.
For those keeping score at home, mile marker 103.
I'm sure everybody that's listening has their mile markers.
Noted. I'm a big mile marker guy on the tollways.
That's fair. That's fair. So, hey, we got him. We got Ian. We got you, Tucky. We got a full booth here for the very first OTMmies. But before we get to that, we got to tell everybody about the Overtime Sports Network. And I think instead of us telling people about OTSN, the man to my left, Mikey Wilson, I'm going to give you the plug of the week right here for OTSN.
Overtime Sports Network is a conglomerate of sports podcasters, bloggers, video makers, live shows. You can find Overtime Sports Network on the interwebs at www.otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com /
There it is.
OTSN. You can find them on Twitter at _OTSN. You can find them on Instagram at _OTSN. You can find them on Twitch
At twitch.tv/OT Sports Network.
God damn it.
Tuck's really not enjoying this right
They
now.
call him Mikey Slashley.
Overtime Sports Network. We no longer have next. We are now.
So we bring up the Twitch thing, Tuck. Ian, I know you are pretty experienced in the Twitch world. When are you going to start streaming through OTSM? Because that is an opportunity for you.
Yeah, well, here's my thing. The region not the Region Sports Network. The region, around here, internet sucks.
Nope, that's false.
Where I live, it sucks.
Well, what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to put respect on the region.
Okay, yeah, no, it's fair.
Region internet.
Not a lot of variety for me. So at the moment, I'm unable to stream. But back in college, that's
stream.
That's where I'm in.
So when you get back to Terre Haute, the lovely city of Terre Haute, Indiana,
beautiful,
you will potentially stream for the Overtime Sports Network?
Yeah, of course. I'll be in.
I'll have to give you the login information. Tucky, we have a giveaway going on. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
We are literally just one retweet away from giving that thing away. Where can they find it? What do they got to do if they want that Adam Cole baby?
God,
figure. Go, Tuck.
I feel like I'm back to my wheelhouse days. I got a gobble of geese over here, and I'm trying to manage it. And okay.
Tuck's the old man at the
Twitter
table,
at _OTSN. You got to find that post. You got to hit that at Pot on the Mark on Twitter.
We were talking about the Adam Cole giveaway.
Okay.
Where would you find that?
I can't hear you.
At Pot on the Mark.
Got it.
Wait,
we're back. Okay, we're good.
We're having technical issues or no?
Yes. But we're still recording.
Oh, we're still recording. All right. Hot start here, ladies and gentlemen.
Must be the degenerate rub-off.
Yeah, that seems to happen whenever Mikey gets around a computer, so that's not surprising. But before we get into our OTMmies, Tucky, I want to ask you, what do you think of TLC? It happened this Sunday. Overall thoughts on the pay-per-view? What stood out to you?
I went into it with a 3 out of 10. I came out of it with an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah?
I thought both of the TLC matches were great. The Inferno match was something, and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the Inferno match. Now, it seems like you can take it or leave it. Is basically your opinion on that?
The Inferno match itself?
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Okay. I feel like the guy to my left, Mikey Wilson. You did watch TLC, right?
Yes, sir.
You were in on the Inferno match, weren't you?
I was in on it. I mean, at first when the last TLC match ended, I was kind of like, all right, well, that's it then. That was pretty short because it felt like the end of the match. And then I let the dogs out, and I came back in. I was like, oh, we got another match. Let's go here.
Well, another reason it probably felt like that is because I know they pre-recorded the Inferno match. So everything that happened live was before that, and then they just cut to this recording that they had of it. And I like the setup that they had for this. This is obviously something you can't do when there's fans in the stands. So they utilized the Thunderdome very well. And obviously, and I hate the fact that people are actually talking about this, saying, oh my God, that wasn't actually the Fiend. That was obviously a dummy. Yeah, no shit. You're not going to burn a human being in the middle of the ring. So, and I said, this guy responded, he goes, yeah, I just couldn't buy into it. I'm like, so do you not like movies? So, like, when anybody dies in a movie, you think they're actually dead? Like, come on. Like, Tuck, that kind of stuff pisses me off with wrestling fans.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed to see it be a dummy as well.
Of course.
I thought it was kind of a cop-out, but he did have some fire on him, though, when he ran to the ring, though, right?
Oh, yeah,
that wasn't CGI.
So you could kind of tell the stuff they were wearing was kind of fire retardant, FR gear. Because Orton never wears anything like that to the ring, right?
No.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell they were ready for this match. Because honestly, anything could have happened. The amount of gasoline they had on there, and obviously that was like watered down gasoline for sure. Because gasoline just kind of goes up; it's not going to go that slow towards that.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. But anyway, at what point did you realize it was a dummy? Because I mean, it was a pretty good dummy.
I thought it was. I mean, for what this is, it's the WWE. I'm not expecting like the works when it comes to production. I
am.
It wasn't the first thought that came to my head when I saw that. Did you instantly go, "Oh, yep, that's fake body"?
Yeah. Look at the hand. The hand was terrible.
No, when he poured gas on him and was holding, I was like, "Is he really going to fucking drop this right now?" I was in. It was a good dummy.
I think it was a good way to end the show, and I think overall that was one of the best pay-per-views of 2020. It might even get brought up here in our OTMmies, so that's a little spoiler down the road. But the first topic we have here, the first award we are going to give out is Rookie/Breakout Star of the Year. There's a few options, I would say, in this one. Who wants to start things off? Who wants to start things hot? The youngster looks like he's ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Ian, what do we got here? Breakout/Rookie Star of the Year for you.
I mean, when you're thinking about rookie, like, there's no rookie out there, like a true rookie, better than Pat McAfee right now. That guy, he brought so much attention to the sport that even from football fans, it drew the attention of SportsCenter. There was no other rookie that just set the world on fire. I will say that man, and even people that were doubting him, saying, "Why is this NFL player coming?" Like with Gronk, it wasn't that great. Like,
well, he was the host.
Yeah, but he tried to dabble into it. But Pat McAfee, I think he absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, not a lot of people had high expectations for Pat McAfee, and he definitely exceeded those. So I don't hate that pick whatsoever. Mikey, what are we thinking here? Rookie/breakout star of the year for you?
My rookie/breakout is Darby Allin. Didn't know anything about the kid before he came on. He's 27 years old. His first championship run with the TNT title, not great, but I mean, he burst onto the scene. First match was against Cody, turned everything on, and he's getting a lot of Jeff Hardy comparisons.
Yeah,
but once he gets away from that Jeff Hardy comparison and actually has a decent run here with the TNT title, he's going to be a big star in AEW, and I'm happy to see him succeed.
Yeah, that's definitely a solid choice. So actually, a name I didn't even think about. Honestly, Tuck, rookie/breakout star of the year. Who are we thinking for you?
I'm going with the Street Profits.
Really?
I have loved the Street Profits. I think they are getting their just due. Profits are up. Their shirt sucks. But
you're a big shirt guy. You're the shirt aficionado of the
show. It's kind of cheeks. The old one was better, but it is. Do you know their new shirt? It's a solo cup, but looked like a cartoon character guy. I'm out on that. But I am in on the Street Profits, Montez, Angelo Dawkins, my guys. I think they've had a great year. And it's not so much that they've been, thrust and put rockets on their back, but they have been one element in a weak division of WWE. Really enjoy watching.
A constant strong point of every single show that they're on. That's and honestly, this is pretty surprising. Every single one of us that gave feedback for this show picked a different person. So that's pretty cool here. First off, if you didn't know, this is only between AEW and WWE. So if you're listening and expecting some other superstars, you're not going to get that on this show because that's all we talk about. But this one was tough for me. Ian took the guy I was originally thinking about in Pat McAfee because I am a big Pat McAfee fan. So I wanted to be different. So I started to think of people that were true rookies, kind of like Ian was thinking. I didn't go towards the breakout really in this one. I wanted to go with rookie. So my rookie of the year goes to Dominic Mysterio, Rey Mysterio's son. Now, this kid had a great feud with Seth Rollins. Talk about throwing him into the fire. It started off with Brock Lesnar in 2019 when he had that match with his father, Rey Mysterio, which he killed it in. Then he jumps right in against one of the best wrestlers on the planet, Seth Rollins, and absolutely destroys every single thing that he does. The storyline was compelling. The in-ring skills were very good. Obviously, he could still tune up a few things, but I believe he's only 23 or 24 years old, which is insane to think about. Great matches with Seth Rollins, great matches with Murphy. Dominic Mysterio is my rookie of the year. I think Ian liked that pick.
He stepped up, no doubt.
I was definitely, if it wasn't Pat McAfee, it would have been Dominic for me. Like that guy, he's been in the. I remember the one feud I remember from watching it, like when I was really young.
I know where you're going.
Was the ladder match with Dominic's. Some may call it a really weird match, but that one just stuck with me. But yeah, it's cool to see him in the ring.
Yeah, I hope we get a little bit more of him too in 2021 because they kind of been not showing him as much on TV. But two of our listeners, one of them, Erica Marini, the co-host of A Work in Progress, she is going with Bianca Belair.
That's a strong pick. She is going to be the face of the women's division for a very long time. I love it.
It's hard to disagree with any of our picks right now. It seems like everybody is kind of understanding the concept, and you can make an argument for any one of these people. Now, Mikey, Bianca Belair obviously having an outstanding 2020. Is she one of those people you're keeping an eye on to potentially win the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I could see her winning the Royal Rumble. You need to give her a good, strong storyline quickly before she starts turning into one of those NXT people that just kind of get up there and muddle.
Yep.
She needs a good, strong storyline right now.
Aaron Oros went with an AEW superstar, which is pretty surprising because if he's going to watch things, he's usually watching WWE, but I like this pick a lot, and I'm honestly surprised Ian didn't think of it. His breakout star of 2020 is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. He was basically saying how he went from a lower card guy at the beginning of 2020, and now he is one of AEW's biggest names with a unique gimmick that is going to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, that guy, he was getting absolutely hammered by critics for his first appearance. Everyone was hammering on him. It's like Jim Cornette, when he started talking about him, that was what really sparked it. But I think literally his push, I've been hearing like this was literally just a middle finger to all those critics. Like, listen, this guy, he could go. Yeah, and he's got a really good character to get behind.
And I have his T-shirt. He's going to sell a lot of merch, and they're going to put him on a lot of shows for sure. Tuck, you writing down any of these by the chance?
Nope.
I was just curious. It's all right. You don't have to. I was thinking about tweeting it out afterwards. You don't have to. No big deal.
Orange Cassidy was on Chris Jericho's podcast, and Jericho was,
recently?
No, towards the beginning of AEW.
Okay.
And it might have been after Revolution, because they were talking about how because it was right before their feud or during their feud.
Right.
And Jericho was talking about
that would have been right before, I believe.
So Jericho was talking about how are we gonna start an established wrestling promotion, and we're gonna hire a guy like Orange Cassidy, and Jericho was not in at all. And then Orange just went and got himself over. And Jericho, he sat there and ate crow in front of Orange Cassidy, which was really cool. But
yeah, and it's hard to disagree with that pick, too. I mean, talk about breaking out on the scene. If you're going to pick 5 people from AEW that you see on AEW Dynamite every week, Orange Cassidy is one of those guys. And there's nobody probably as over as he is in that company right now. So, Tuck, you're going with the Street Profits for Breakout. Ian went with Pat McAfee. Mikey, you went with Darby Allin, and I went with Dominic Mysterio. We won't add the listeners to the graphic, Tucky, so don't worry about adding their picks. Well, he's sharing everybody's picks. But don't worry, Marini didn't give us all. She said she couldn't think of some of them. So,
can I give you an honorable mention here?
Yeah, sure. And why don't you tell the listeners where they can check out your blog that you just posted about these topics?
You can check out the blog on any of the Overtime Sports Network social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've retweeted on my Twitter page.
It's on our account.
OTSN_degenerate _OTSN. And the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast Twitter is
Pot on the Mark, baby.
I just type in OTM and it pops up.
Yeah, it does pop up. So what are your honorable mentions? I know you mentioned them in the blog.
I just want to do the one. I don't want to through all the
Yeah, that's
blog,
fine.
But Eddie Kingston, for me, is a guy that potentially was kind of just show up, fight Cody one time, and leave. Because that's kind of what the trend was with the TNT title. And then they just gave the guy a mic, and you couldn't not sign him.
Yeah, when I was reading your blog, that was another pick where I was like, damn, that is good. Eddie Kingston, like you said, I didn't know who he was until he cut that promo against Cody. Instantly grabs your attention, Ian.
See, here's my thing. I was actually a non-believer. We were talking during Eddie Kingston's arrival, because that was when Cody was doing all of his guest appearances, and indie wrestlers. And I was like, I can't get behind the guy, because that was after watching him wrestle. Like he could go, but
he's an average wrestler.
Yeah, it's nothing like to think like crazy. Old school, yeah, but his promo work, he still does it. He could talk really well and engage with the audience and really tell a good story, and that's what he thrives on.
Absolutely, and he's going to be a guy you're going to have to keep an eye on for sure next year. Next award we're going to give out here, Tuck, is the Match of the Year. Now, we mentioned a few potential matches last week, and I am sure there is a few that we have maybe missed when we name those out. I'll actually go first here, boys. I am going to say and be honest with you that I have flipped multiple times here. In my head, I had one match, and then I changed it to the other. I rewatched some matches. I got to be honest with you, so this one is my final decision. I'm going to stick to it. I am going with Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks at AEW Revolution. Now, we were in attendance for that pay-per-view, so that might have a little bit to do with it, but I have rewatched this match, and it stands the test of time here. It's one of the most memorable matches of the year. Non-stop action. It went for about 45 minutes, a lot of near falls. It had me on the edge of my seat there when we were in attendance. It was just awesome. That also is going to be Aaron Oros' pick. That is his match of the year as well. So we got 2 on the tally for Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks for match of the year at AEW Revolution. Mikey Wilson, what is your match of the year?
So my match of the year, it's probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but for me, I've been a WWE fan, WWF fan for my life. I've always watched it, And during the John Cena days, they just kept shoving John Cena down your throat, and everyone and their mom was like, "Can you please give me anybody else?" And John Cena just wins and wins and wins. So my match of the year is a cinematic match.
Ooh,
and it is
Tucky. He went the cinematic route.
And I've already mentioned John Cena, so you know it's not AJ versus Taker. It is John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse match. So basically what this did, it played to the marks, which is what WWE never does. And they went back and they talked about his how he almost got fired, his failed marriage, how he refused to put the Bray Wyatt over,
ruthless aggression,
how he never turned heel, and it was just every Mark's dream to sit there and go, yeah, that's what we wanted the entire time John Cena was fighting, and we never got it. And this match just displayed all of it. And to me, match of the year, 5-star, probably not, but this is my match of the year just because of the relevance to WWE that it had.
If we're talking actual matches, I don't think that qualifies, but on our show, we'll allow it.
Well, I think it should qualify because it is 2020. It's been an interesting year. Promotions were given a tough hand.
Yeah.
And my match of the year is actually Taker and AJ Styles.
Okay, you went that route as well.
Yeah, and because next year, no, I'm not going to vote, but
we don't need it.
I think something like the Firefly Funhouse match, something like the Styles and Taker cinematic match is going to be the asterisk or the footnote of 2020 that shows how great wrestling can be. And what I mean by that is, in any circumstance, the wrestling never stopped. It adapted, it changed, and I think the Boneyard match was something for me as I went into it. I had no expectations. I was very curious, and I remember sitting in my garage with the projector glued to the screen, and that's why I'm giving it match of the year, because of how 2020 it is, and I think it'll be an interesting footnote when we, in years. Looking back at it.
That's the point I was going to bring up. This is a matchup that nobody's going to forget just based on the fact of the presentation of the match. And also, this was technically the last match of The Undertaker. We found out he officially retired after this. So that was his virtual send-off right there, and it made a lasting impact on everyone. And obviously, Tuck thinks it's the match of the year. So you two went the cinematic route. I went with the AEW Revolution Tag Team Championship match. Ian, I have a feeling you're going to stay in AEW with this one.
I am actually. This was a match that was basically advertised as it was going to be the match of the year, and I personally, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, it lived up to its expectations. Maybe not to the degree that we were told.
I thought it was great,
but it was a fantastic match. The Young Bucks versus the FTR at Full Gear. We watched this in the garage with the projector, and we were all. I think that the women's match was just before that,
which was a sleeper.
It was a sleeper, yeah. And this match brought us straight back in, and we were engaged. We were all. It was a great time. It was and especially the Young Bucks. There were the spots. Obviously, there was a lot of spots. It's an AEW match. It's going to happen, especially a Young Bucks match. But they told a story.
Yep,
they really told a story. That's what really stood out about this match, and that grabbed my attention, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I know we talked about it on our Full Gear review show on how that was probably the best Young Bucks match, just based on the fact that there was storytelling, and even FTR, when they were going for the flips, they got away from their ways there. So I don't hate that pick whatsoever. That was one of the matches that I was flipping between. The other two matches that I actually was considering, and this might be the recency bias here, but the two TLC matches that we saw on Sunday, I almost picked them for match of the year. So it was between that and those two tag teams. And even Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly was a match that I was debating on as well, which is exactly the match that Erica Marini is choosing. She's saying Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, the first matchup that these two had, was her favorite match of the year. And I know that Tuck would probably agree. We don't think it's the match of the year, but it's got to be in the consideration.
Yeah, it was a great match. Especially on free TV, wasn't it?
Yeah, free TV.
And I think a lot of times that the tough thing that when you look at match of the year, you think of pay-per-view automatically. But winter is coming. had plenty of matches, great matches. NXT and AEW have offered a few more impactful matches on regular TV. So that was a great match. Another one that I really liked was Sasha and Bayley Hell in a Cell. It was great.
You could say Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, and Hell in a Cell too.
Yeah, and that was probably the less wrestling than in one of the cinematic matches.
True. And there was a lot of good matches, and it's tough in 2020 to even put on a good show, but these companies found ways to put and tell good stories, so props to them. But those are our matches of the year right there. The next category, the award we're going to give out here, is Most Improved. Now, this is somebody that is established somewhat, and they just kind of broke out a little bit here in 2020 and improved on their skills, whether it be in the ring or character work. And I said it last week, and I think I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm going to stick with my guns. I am picking for Most Improved.
Billy Gunn?
Jey Uso.
Oh, Jey Uso.
Jey Uso, yeah.
Yes.
I said it all last week. I mean, he went from a tag team guy to actually being a main event single star. He told great stories with Roman Reigns, and now he's doing great alongside Roman Reigns, and he's a household name. People know who Jey Uso is. I also considered Bobby Lashley here, and even the best friends of AEW. Those were two groups, people that I was keeping an eye on, but I'm going to give it to Jey Uso. Ian, Mikey, which one of you wants to go first? Looks like Ian wants it.
Yeah, actually, mine pick is kind of out there, but I got to give this man credit to where it was due. Apollo Crews, he's been on my radar for such a long time. Like ever since I started watching him, he was the guy that I looked at and I'm like, why is this guy not being pushed? Like, why is he not as good as he looks? You know, he isn't his athleticism in the ring. He's huge. He's a big dude, but
big boy.
He's
as Brock Lesnar would say, big boy.
But this guy, and he won his title finally.
U.S. title, yeah.
The U.S. title, and he was in his, he had that feud with the Hurt Business, which I personally liked. I liked watching it and watching that, but I sadly, he's injured. He got injured, and he had to be taken out of it, so without that injury, who knows where he could be right now.
Yeah, he definitely was on that trajectory of being pushed more up the card. I don't hate that pick at all, but I don't think I even thought of that, to be honest with you. So very good pick there, Tucky. Most improved wrestler of 2020 for you.
This will be the first one that we agree on, but I have to go with Jey Uso. I think when you look at the term most improved, where his stock was in a lethargic tag team division to where he ended up, his stock has risen more than many. Another one that I strongly considered was Alexa Bliss, and not necessarily improved because she's always been good, and that's why I didn't go towards her. But I love where she's at with the Fiend, and wanted to give her just due. But I don't think she super improved. I think she made more of a lateral move to a polarizing position.
I think you're thinking right there with Alexa Bliss is where Aaron was going with this. Before we get to you, Mikey, Aaron's going with Roman Reigns for the most improved. He virtually said he was already great. We knew who Roman Reigns was, but he's reached another level that no one really expected he could get to. And his character work ever since he returned is the most improved of 2020. So that was one that actually popped in my head, too. Roman Reigns is a pretty solid pick. Mikey, most improved wrestler for you in 2020.
So my most improved, so he wasn't a bad wrestler to start out with, but if you go back to the Royal Rumble, I don't think anybody had him winning the Royal Rumble. So my pick is Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
From the moment he eliminated Brock Lesnar, they just put a rocket to his back and shot him straight to the moon.
I think I had him winning.
Did you?
Royal Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
People forget that.
Yeah, but
people forget.
You predicted that, but I had the raffle.
Nice.
I won the money.
I won a random drawing. That's
hey,
really
by
cool.
the way, we'll be doing that drawing again this year. So
bogus.
we'll be doing it this next year.
He eliminated Brock Lesnar. He was just a star from that moment. And then they basically gave him the title and said, here, in an era where we're not going to have fans, you need to figure out a way to get over. And he's excelled 100%.
Yeah, don't hate that. Hard to disagree with you there. Next award we're going to give out here is Pay-Per-View of the Year. We saw a decent amount from NXT, AEW, and, of course, the main roster. And in the COVID era of wrestling, both companies, I believe, did a really good job at putting on very entertaining pay-per-views, whether they go the cinematic route or just with the in-ring style here. So we got a lot to choose from. I believe we saw a lot of great pay-per-views in 2020. But who wants to go first here with their pay-per-view of the year? Anyone? Tuck's on his phone.
I'm formatting the Google sheet.
Oh, okay.
But I'll go with it.
Oh, you got it? All right.
My pay-per-view of the year, like I've said since the show, was Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
I didn't see that one coming from you.
And I think a big part of that was because I was sleeping on it, you know. So good matches, good card top to bottom. I wanted to give a little bit of diversity here because I think we all might have 4 different picks and they're all really strong. Hell in a Cell might actually be the weakest of the crew, but for what it did for me, I went in at a 1, came out at like an 8-9, you know.
Yeah.
So a striking, very good representation of what WWE is capable of, and then they get to Monday nights and shit down their leg, which is frustrating. But you see it again too with the most recent TLC pay-per-view. Great show.
Yeah.
And then Monday's like, okay.
Yeah, that's just how it seems to go. And the thing with these awards too, and I like how you brought it in your personal life there. This is our awards. This isn't like, it's not guaranteed to be the actual thing. Like, this might not have been the best pay-per-view, but it resonated with Tuck. That's where it struck a chord with him.
I was about to say, it was striking to me. When I think of memorable pay-per-views, I was at Revolution. That was great.
Yeah.
But it's hard to gauge when you had, 2 months of in-person shows muddled with another 9 to 10 months of live in-person crowds. So Hell in a Cell, I thought was great.
That's where I kind of struggled a bit. And I actually went with a pay-per-view that had fans in the stands. I have mentioned this pay-per-view already on this show. My pay-per-view of the year for 2020 is AEW Revolution. Maybe it's because we were there, but honestly, there wasn't a bad match on this card. It started off with Dustin Rhodes versus Jake Hager, and they had a match of the year in it as well with Kenny Omega, Page, and the Young Bucks. You have Orange Cassidy, who virtually broke out there in that match against Pac. The whole stadium was behind Orange Cassidy. That was awesome. And Jon Moxley won the title against Chris Jericho. What?
There's one guy wearing headphones in here, boys.
I thought we lost it again. You can't do that to me. Can I do it one more time?
No. Nope.
But, hey, there was another good match on that card, too. Cody versus MJF. Another outstanding match. Probably the worst one was Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander. But honestly, that out of the matches we have seen from AEW in the women's division, that wasn't that bad. AEW Revolution was awesome. It was awesome being there live. It might be biased. It might not. AEW Revolution is my pay-per-view of the year. Mikey Wilson, 2020 pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, I feel like if I pick AEW Revolution, it would be biased. Can I go NXT here?
Yeah, of course.
I would go NXT War Games. The most recent, obviously the most recent one. We were here watching it together, and I think we jumped out of our seats a few times. Even the matches that weren't like we said, I don't know about that match, like the Loomis match. I enjoyed the Loomis match. I mean, even the couple matches that weren't like the big card matches were still good. And obviously, you can't compete with War Games.
Yeah, there's so many spots in those matches. It's always
War Games! I knew it was coming.
Tuck, maybe you just shouldn't wear headphones. He's like, maybe I shouldn't. All right, Ian, you get to go last here. Pay-per-view of the year. I'm assuming once again you're going to AEW. Right?
I am actually going AEW again, believe it or not. But
big AEW guy.
Big AEW guy.
But then again, my picks have been kind of AEW. Go ahead.
It's actually Full Gear. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Like I said, again, the worst match by far was the match with Shida and Nyla Rose, which going into it, no one was really excited for it. It wasn't a really great feud to begin with, but people forget about the Elite Deletion match, which had a lot of mixed reviews, but I thought it was really fun. It was. It was a great time to spark some life into the crowd again. But obviously we had TNT Championship turnover. We had the match between Moxley and Kingston, which people were thinking Kingston had a chance of winning, but obviously he did not. But still was a great match.
When we say people, we mean you.
Okay.
Junior did pick Kingston.
We're not bringing this up again.
Don't forget that talk.
We're not bringing this up
People
again.
forget. Yeah, you're the one that brought it up.
No. Okay. Full Gear was great, guys. It was a great show.
I got him there. There's no coming
Great
back.
show.
All right, so we all went different there once again, and Aaron's pick is different from all of ours. He's going with WrestleMania 36. What they did, all things considered, he said was very special. They made the most out of both nights in unprecedented times. That is a pay-per-view that no one is going to forget. You will know WrestleMania 36 as the COVID WrestleMania, but they did very good job on that show, so it's hard to disagree with him there. So there's our pay-per-view of the year. We got 3 more awards to give out here. The first one we have is the Tag Team of the Year. I would say there is less options than the previous categories that we have discussed, but there have been some good tag teams in wrestling, Tuck. I know you like tag team wrestling. Who is your tag team of the year?
My tag team of the year.
Wait, before you announce this, can you do an over-under of how many will pick a WWE tag team?
The over-under is set at 1.5.
1.5. You think? Are you taking the over or the under?
I'd take the under, but yeah, I'm just setting Vegas lines. He asked me to set the line because I almost picked the Street Profits here. Obviously, I didn't. But
yes, and that's who I picked.
Yeah,
it is
2 awards for you.
Yeah, I really like the Street Profits,
except for their shirts.
No, I like the humans.
I
don't like their shirt, but I think for what they've done in that tag division, this is one of those kind of mix it up picks as well. I think the Street Profits are great. I think they should be tag team champions forever.
Just to make this easy, Aaron agrees with you, Tuck. He picked the Street Profits. He said they have great chemistry and they have a gimmick/persona that just sticks with the audience, and they have ran WWE's tag division for 2020. So Aaron and Tuck are going with the smoke. They're taking the Street Profits for tag team of the year. Ian, tag team of the year for you might be the same as tag team for me.
Most likely. I mean, I think if you look at the tag team division in AEW, like hands down is the best in wrestling right now. There's stacked from bottom to top. It's
no debate.
No debate at all. And I think the one that runs it right now, even though they're not champs anymore, is FTR. A team, from the moment they walked through the door, you knew there, again, just knowing that they weren't, like before even knowing that they were going to AEW, you knew that they were going to make an impact wherever they went. And AEW is what they chose, and they ran it from the start.
Yeah, I'll make this easy once again. My tag team of 2020 is FTR. And a point that you didn't bring up, and I believe this is accurate, they held titles in 2 companies in the year 2020. I believe they were tag team champions and WWE SmackDown tag team champions. Yep. And I believe they lost it to Shinsuke and Cesaro. So the fact that they held titles in 2 companies in the same year made an impact in both. AEW, they had one of the best matches, and some could say the best match of the year. FTR for me, with Tully Blanchard, easily the tag team of the year. Mikey, we have 2 with FTR, 2 with the Street Profits. Are you breaking this tie?
Oh, yeah, I'm going AEW for sure.
Okay.
So for me, when the Best Friends walked on, I was a big Chris Jericho guy with the same thought process. Best Friends walk out, and I go, This is never going to get over. This is stupid.
I was a part of that as well. I was aboard that take.
And then they just kept wrestling and kept getting better and better. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm a Best Friends guy here. And they eventually won me over, and all the stuff with Ortiz and Santana, the street fight match.
Great feud.
And their promos are so funny, too. Like, you got to apologize to my mom. And it's just like, on speakerphone.
You got to give the people what they want.
And then the hug. Yeah, just the Best Friends really won me over. I think, for me, they're the tag team of the year.
I'm not going to lie, Tuck. I didn't expect that one to come from Mikey Wilson, but I think that's a fair choice. The Best Friends, like you said, I wasn't aboard originally, but they could have been most improved this year, honestly, if we're thinking about it, because the way they started 2020, and then it was hard to not watch Dynamite and not see them on TV. So Mikey Wilson going with the Best Friends, Ian and I going with FTR, and Tuck and Aaron are going with the smoke. They got the Street Profits for Tag Team of the Year in 2020. The last 2 here are the 2 biggest awards. We got the Female Wrestler of the Year to kick us off here for the 2 big ones. I will let Mikey start us off here. It seems to be between 3 people. We're obviously not going to go the AEW route with this one.
No. Yeah, this is the opposite of the tag team division.
I mean, yes or no, this is between Asuka, Bayley, and Sasha?
Yeah, correct. Unfortunately, Charlotte and Becky are out this year, but I mean, if Charlotte and Becky were here, those are probably your two.
You could maybe make an argument, and it's a long shot for Rhea Ripley or Io Shirai as well. I'll throw that out there, but these 3 seem to be the ones.
It's these 3. You can give a nod to those 2 if you want to give a nod to those 2, but it's these 3. And for me, it's Bayley. She held the championship for the longest time. And in my blog, I put out a feud of the year, a rivalry of the year, and I compared Bayley's run with the title and Sasha kind of coming up with her, or at least being friends with her. I compared that to the Mega Powers splitting up.
Ooh, yeah, that's fair.
That was almost a year-long build. Everyone's at the edge of their seat, like, when are these 2 going to break up? So, I mean, Bayley had me, and she was so good, they let her jump brands whenever she wanted to. They brought her on Raw just nonchalantly, hey, just go to Raw because you're the best we have right now. So,
I never was huge on Bayley. I still am not, I don't consider myself a fan, but I respect her work, and I think she got really good with this heel character. At first, I wasn't into it. And I know Tuck and I have discussed this multiple times on the show, that Bayley drastically improved with that character. So Mikey's going with Bayley here. Tuck, are you agreeing with him, or are you going a different route here for female superstar of the year?
I am agreeing with him. I think Bayley carried the entire women's division the entire year. Sasha got hot too late for me. So, yeah, that's basically all I've got. Bayley.
Ian?
I'll just keep the train going. My pick was also Bayley. Bayley, she by far, you forgot to bring up, no one brought up, she was the first Grand Slam champion in WWE in women's. And she absolutely carried the women's division all around in wrestling.
Yeah, give it to Mikey. He's got something to say.
Sorry, I mean, let's not pretend she didn't benefit from Charlotte and Becky being gone to be the first Grand Slam champion.
Yeah, that's a fair point, but somebody had to step up. Yeah, it happened, like Mikey said. And if you don't know, Mikey and Ian are passing the microphone, so we can't have them talking at the same time. But so everybody's going with Bayley, huh? Aaron Oros is also going with Bayley, and he simply said 380-day title reign enough. So that's all you really got to say there. I'm going to make this a little difficult, though. I don't think Bayley is the female superstar of the year. I am going with the blueprint of WWE. I'm going with Sasha Banks as the female wrestler of the year. She never had a bad match. She never was in a feud that was boring. And she had that fantastic feud with Bayley. If I could give this award to 2 people, I'd give it to Bayley and Sasha Banks. The golden role models would be the female wrestler of the year because they were the headlines for the women's division in 2020. Sasha Banks also won all the belts imaginable on the main roster. She's been Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, and Tag Team Champion. She, in my opinion, other than Charlotte Flair, is the best wrestler in the WWE. So I'm going to be different than you guys. You all went Bayley. I'm going with Sasha Banks.
Yeah, it's fair. It takes 2 to tango. You can't tell a story. You can't tell Bayley's story without Sasha, and you can't tell Sasha's story without Bayley. And I agree, Sasha's probably the better wrestler. But, I mean, Bayley had a 380 title reign, like Aaron said.
Yeah, and if anybody voted for anybody in AEW, you're not allowed to participate in next year's OTMmies. You're also you're definitely wrong. So last one here, the final award for the very first edition of the OTMmies, the male wrestler of the year. Ian, you have the mic in your face. This came down to 2 people for me personally. Roman Reigns wasn't around long enough for me to be considered here, so I'm down to 2 people. Who are you narrowing this down to, and who are you picking?
I got the guy that is associated all the time with North Carolina for some reason, Kenny Omega.
I thought he was going to go with Matt Hardy. Really thought you were going Matt Hardy there.
No, from start to finish of this year, Kenny Omega has been at the front line of AEW's wrestling. From his tag team work with Hangman, they had such a great run with the tag team titles, and as soon as he was done with that, he had an awesome feud with Adam Page.
Yep.
Which ended at Full Gear, where he went over and got the opportunity to take the title away.
You could say that match that they had there at Full Gear 2 was a match of the year candidate.
It was again, it was stacked card. But I had Kenny Omega, and then his implementation with Impact Wrestling. He's over on Impact right now.
Yeah.
That's unheard of right now. No one ever would have thought AEW was going to be with Impact. But
he's literally breaking down walls in the
correct.
industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Tuck brought it up a couple episodes ago. Tuck, correct me if I'm wrong. Kenny Omega most wrestled matches on AEW?
Oh, yeah.
So he's a workhorse. He's been champion, tag team champion, AEW world champion. He was the one of the two that I was deciding between. So I'll leave it at that. Tucky, male superstar of the year. This is the granddaddy of them all. Who are you giving it to in the year of 2020?
My male wrestler of the year is Drew McIntyre. He has shouldered the burden of the world's biggest professional wrestling company and navigated through a pandemic. And he has won over many people without people in the building. And I think there is something to be said about that. He's managed to get himself over without needing a crowd. And he is my 2020 male wrestler of the year. Drew, congratulations. I know you're listening. We'd love to get you on the podcast.
I was going to say, we'll send you that Adam Cole figure whenever you want it. All you got to do is retweet.
Just hit the retweet, and we can get that figure in the mail.
Mikey Wilson, we got one for Kenny Omega, one for Drew McIntyre. Who are you rolling with?
So for all the same reasons I gave my most improved to Drew McIntyre, I'm giving my male wrestler of the year to...
Yeah! That was fairly loud. I don't even have headphones in.
John Moxley.
John Moxley.
All the same reasons for McIntyre, right? I mean, they gave him the title. He had an epic feud with Chris Jericho at the beginning of the year. He got that belt in February, and he held that belt until just recently when Kenny Omega took it off of him, and he's held the company afloat without fans. Well, AEW's had fans.
They've had some, but it's still, it's still a little different for sure. Yeah, I didn't think about Moxley because, to be completely honest with you, I'm not a huge John Moxley fan, but it's hard not to respect what he did this year. So he definitely should be in the conversation. And then, like I alluded to, it was between two people for me. This is another one where I flipped. I originally was on the Kenny Omega train, but you know what changed my mind? The Broken Skull Sessions interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Drew McIntyre is what made me flip. And I'm going to say that the male wrestler of the year for 2020 is Drew McIntyre. And we brought up these points throughout the entire show, but from eliminating Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble to beating him at WrestleMania and then having a great feud and carrying the COVID era of wrestling with Randy Orton. You got to give credit to Randy Orton here too, because he was a huge part of Drew McIntyre's title run, because you had Randy chasing him the whole time, but Drew was that champion, the babyface holding the belt. And he's won the belt 2 times this year. And that's also impressive because the WWE Championship is arguably the most prestigious belt right now in wrestling. So I'm going with Drew McIntyre. It was close between Kenny Omega just because of all he has done and accomplished. Aaron Oros is also going with Drew McIntyre. So we got 3 on the Drew train, 1 going for John Moxley, and Ian is going with Kenny Omega. And that concludes, ladies and gentlemen, the very first OTM award show. Yeah, give a hand out there. Mikey, I know you wrote a blog, and you had some other categories that you discussed there. Give me one of those that you would maybe like to talk about here, and we can throw that in as a bonus category discussion.
How about promo of the year?
Oh, man, you're going to make me think of that off the top of my head?
All right, how about rivalry of the year?
Okay, that's fair. All right. Okay.
So, rivalry of the year, I threw 4 people up there, or 4 different rivalries up there.
You don't have to add this one to the thing, Tuck. We're just talking about it.
The one I want to talk about is Pat McAfee and Adam Cole.
Okay. All right.
I don't think this is going to win. I mean, if you were going to put these 4 out and say have the people vote, I don't think this one would win. But this is long-term storytelling.
By the way, I like that idea. We're going to make a poll, and our 4 answers here will be the decider on this one for rivalry of the year. Thank you.
So this is long-term storytelling at its finest without ever getting into the ring. They did all their storytelling on pre-shows. Pat McAfee came into pre-shows. He interviewed a couple of wrestlers, and then him and Adam Cole had a little bit of back and forth. Pat McAfee showed up at a takeover, stole a chair from Adam Cole, cost him the match possibly. I don't really remember how that ended. And then there was a little bit more back and forth on Twitter. And then eventually Adam Cole comes on Pat McAfee's show and drops the F-bomb, throws a bunch of stuff. And from there, it just kind of exploded. And it was, for me, WWE doesn't really get storytelling right a lot. And this was, and I don't know how much impact WWE actually had because it happened on Twitter a lot. But, man, this was just great storytelling between 2 guys that understand how to work a crowd.
I think if I had to choose one off the top of my head, it's one that I don't think is finished yet, and it's between Edge and Randy Orton. Edge's return at the Royal Rumble was awesome, arguably the best return of all time. And for them to jump into this feud, and like you alluded to on your blog, Mikey, there wasn't a promo they had that wasn't an A+. Everything that they said, it came from the heart, and these are just two professionals, two Hall of Famers going at it, and I can't wait to see the conclusion of that because I believe that it's not finished. So the rivalry of the year, if I had to give that out, for me, Tucky, would be Edge versus Randy Orton.
My personal rivalry is the Young Bucks and FTR. I think they have a good chemistry. It led to a great match. Again, I don't think we're done with it, but FTR going into a crowded, awesome tag division, winning the titles, and then the Young Bucks taking it back, the back and forth. The foundation or the roots of a rivalry through being the elite, social media, things like that, contrasting styles. I think it built for a great rivalry.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with you there. And Ian, you get to close the show off with your rivalry of the year.
See, I was actually going to agree with Mikey here with his pick, but now that we have one NXT and one
WWE, one AEW,
I'm going to actually split it, 2 AEW, 2 WWE. I'm going to go with Moxley and Kingston.
Okay.
I think it was like one of the best feuds that WWE or AEW has ever put out there. That was two brothers going at it. Yeah. Not blood brothers, obviously. It was two dudes that you could tell had some.
They have history.
They have a lot of history behind it, and they really showed it throughout that feud. And I thought it was really an emotional ending with Kingston. He was. When they brought in his mother and all that, it was. Some may say it was kind of cheesy, but I thought it kind of hit.
That's getting into the personal world, and sometimes that's what they did with the Edge and Randy Orton feud too. It got very personal. Yep. Beth Phoenix was even brought into the feud a little bit as well. So I don't mind that choice at all. So we're gonna put that last category up for debate on a Twitter poll at Pod on the Mark. But that is all we have for you for this very first edition of the OTMys. The next time, Tucky, that we will be talking to everybody is in the year 2021.
Wow. What a year it's been. You snap your fingers, and it's another year.
How about that 2020 commercial from WWE?
Oh, God, that's so bad. The 2020 thing looks like mucus. It looks like the mucus from that Mucinex commercial.
I didn't see this. What is?
Oh, no. Please Google it. Yeah, please check it out. I think you know it. It's in commercials.
Commercial of the year?
No. 2020 is out of here. Oh, my God, it's 2021. That's what they do in the commercial.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
It's not great. That might be rivalry of the year, 2020 versus 20. We'll add that. So comment if it's 2020.
I'm in.
In 2021, yeah. That's all I got, Tucky.
Until next time, which will be 2021, we started the... Did we start the podcast in 2020 or 2019?
We started the podcast in 2019, but the juice of the show was 2020.
Yeah, the juice.
Where we took off, so to say.
To
the moon! Thank you, Ian. You couldn't hear it on the mic, so.
Well, thank you for all of you guys for listening through 2019 and 2020. Here's to a good 2021 for not only the On the Mark Wrestling podcast, but for the Overtime Sports Network and Mikey Wilson and the Region Degenerates and Ian and all of his awesome streaming when he gets to Tree Town down there. Thank you again for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark.